All right. So last week we talked about sketching and basically 2D, right? Now, what will be the point of a CAD program if you could only draw 2D, right? We need to be able to make 3D shapes. We talked last week about the planes, that we have all these different types of planes available, and basically take these as sketching paper, right? You sketch your ideas on these planes and then you turn them into 3D. Now, for turning stuff into 3D, there are many different commands available, right? So you have the extrude command, revolve, rounding, and you have sweep. These are what I like to call the 4 main commands in 3D.
Mm-hmm.
So here, let's go ahead and make a circle. Let's go ahead and make a circle in our top plane. If you remember, Control and H took us in the sketching view, and now I can make this. Say make it 50, right? Well, I just, okay. And now let's go ahead. Did I ever talk about the radial menu?
You touched on it briefly during our user interface conversation, but if you want to go over the basics one
So
more
what radial menu does is that you can customize it to bring over all your favorite commands. So for me, I have like these commands that are my favorites, and I have them on here. So what I can do is that instead of going to these different tabs and finding the command or using the command finder, I'll just go to radial menu, and I need a rectangle. Here is a rectangle.
Right? Is there some kind of key command that can easily bring up that window?
You hold the mouse right click and it's up.
Okay.
So, and you can customize it too from the options, but here it is. Let's make a rectangle. Yeah, something like that, right? Now, what you may notice is that when I hover over these turn orange, and that just means these are closed regions, and Solid Edge can turn them into 3D if I select any of these regions. If I select these, you don't really even have to use this extrude command. In Synchronous, using Synchronous, you can go ahead and just click on the region and select one of the arrows and go up and down, right? I'm adding material. Now I shift it. I'm gonna go symmetric. Now I can go ahead and select any of these regions. Let me just go ahead and select the whole thing, right? Now I can extrude it, right? I extruded everything. Let's make it like 34. Now, one thing I want you to notice here is the dimensions that I had on my sketch migrated to my 3D model. And that's a very important key differentiator between synchronous technology and the competitors that use history-based, right? History-based is very dependent on the sketching. In synchronous, what I can do is basically modify my model on the 3D basis. So say this 25 needs to be changed to 28. See how my model moved on its own?
Yeah.
And that's in 3D basis. To just tell you how much control we have in 3D, I'm just gonna go ahead and delete the sketch. Absolutely nothing happens. And that saves you a lot of time if you have like a lot of sketches happening, right? Because every time you do like extrude or do a stuff, your sketches don't have to regenerate. So the synchronous technology allows you to scale very well when you have many different parts, because those sketches don't matter anymore. All the control is on 3D.
Okay. Nice.
Now, another thing that I want to show you is that, you know how I entered these commands that it automatically put them on my sketch and migrated into model? You may ask yourself, what if you forgot, right, to add a dimension? Well, you can just go ahead and use the smart dimension, just like a sketching, and put these dimensions straight on the model. And better than that, these dimensions are still going to be driving. So you can change them and your 3D model will change. And that's very important.
Okay.
So these are like the 3D, I would like to call it the 3D basics of Synchronous, on why Synchronous is very powerful, right? And these are all done in like a very simple extrude that I just did.
Got it.
Now to edit the model, you can either go ahead and like go back to the sketch, whatever, do the, if you haven't modified your model, or easier, you can just grab any face and just drag. And since I made it symmetric with the respect of the coordinate system, this panel right here goes on ahead and basically recognize that. And if I don't want it symmetric, I can go turn it off and just extend one face.
Okay.
So I just want to very quickly touch base on these like synchronous essentials, because I don't, I'm pretty sure on the training I have a part for synchronous or I'm not sure. I gotta bring it up really fast here. But before, I wanted to go into like actually like the basic extrude command and stuff like that. I wanted to show you like quickly what is the main differentiator between like synchronous technology and like history based, right? And these are some like main differentiators that you can modify the model on the 3D basis. It's not as sketch dependent anymore. And if I really quickly go and, I'm just trying to pull up the training really fast and look at it and see if I ever covered synchronous in there, because we can, when Sam comes back, I can go ahead and like extensively train you guys on like some differentiators of synchronous technology.
Mm-hmm. Will that be covered in any of the future tutorials too? I'm sure it blends in with some of the other topics.
Yeah, I'm looking at the training because I made this training a while back, so I'm just trying to. Okay, yeah. I mean, we can train it here. We can.
Sure.
In terms of basic commands. For now, the ones that I showed you is basically like some of the synchronous values that you bring in 3D level basis, right? There are many different values that come in when you work in the assembly level, and I'm gonna go ahead and cover those as well later on.
Okay.
When we go into assembly, but in this case, I just want to show you something else, is that I can go ahead and even draw the line. Let's go ahead and sketch on top of here. I can go ahead and draw the line and separate my model into two different regions. And what that allows you to do is that you separate into two different regions, and I can go ahead and select any of these regions, which is pretty cool, right?
Super useful.
Super useful. And let me ask you a question. If you were to rotate this whole like face that you have here 5 degrees in history base, how would you go about it?
I'm not sure.
Well, what I would do is that I have to measure everything, go back to the sketch and draw it from the side view or try to figure out how my model was made and try to change that. And it's a headache. A lot of times, if a part is a bit complicated and you want to make this simple change, it takes you forever in history base, maybe hours, right? Your whole afternoon's gone. But I tell you how we rotate it here. I just select it and use the steering wheel, which is our next training. I can go ahead and rotate.
Very cool.
That's very cool, right? And those are basically some of the advantage of synchronous technology in 3D modeling level that it brings to the table. Now, the way we made this model at the beginning was using the extrude command, right? But Solid Edge, all you have to do is automatically just pick this, pick the face that you want to bring up and then press on the arrow, right? But don't worry if you don't like doing that. You can go ahead and from the home tab, there are all these different solid commands available, including extrude and revolve. You don't have to do it with the steering wheel, right? You can just go ahead and select any of those. And if you select extrude, for example, you come up with these ribbon tab, right? Which has different options like, is it through all, through next, from to, different type of extrudes. Do you want it to be symmetric or not? You turn it on. Do you want it to be an add or cut, you know? So these are important as well in terms of sketching. Now here, let me make a new part. So you have these Extrude Evolve. As long as you have a sketch, you can go ahead and do it to it, right? But let me show you something here. Is that you can either pick those commands or use the steering wheel. I showed you how to use the steering wheel to do the extrude, right? Just press on the sketch and arrow it down or not. Now, if you want to revolve, all you have to do is just move this to the not that, but here. You move this to the axis that you want to revolve with, and do that.
Okay.
And put however much you want it. Now that's very cool, right? That's another thing that you can do using the steering wheel that we have available in Solid Edge. So you can either use these commands or you can just use any. And so that was for revolve. Now let's go ahead and show the rounding. Rounding is very easy. You've used CAD before, you know.
Yes, correct.
Pretty much every part in reality has a round because that's how they're manufactured. It's impossible to manufacture without rounds. And here it is. I can select all the rounds on my model. And it's good to notice that I don't even have to rotate my model. I can select the edges through the model. And that's a very cool thing that Solid Edge allows you to do. Not even that, I can go ahead and have Solid Edge find all the internal edges for me to fill it on my part, which in this case there is none. Or I can find all the external edges to round. And if I do that, it's gonna go ahead, here, all the rounds. Let me do this.
Oh, okay, so it has an option for that.
Yeah, so go to the round. There are no internal fillets, so nothing comes up, but external rounds, all rounds, done.
Wow.
Very simple. And that's the run command that we have available in Solid Edge. It's very powerful. You can select it here. I had it on my radial menu. So
perfect.
And another thing I would like to mention is the hole command here. You can select it and press it on any face that you want. And using the hole option wizard that we have available, you can select all kinds of holes. All kinds of holes. But I mean, you want threaded, you want simple, you want countersink. What size do you want? Mine is on M10. What subtype do you want? What type of dimensions do you want? Do you want it to be through all, through next? How would you like to have it? There is so much customization that you can do using the whole option wizard.
Got it.
So far we've done 4 of the commands. We did extrude, revolve, hole, and round, correct?
Correct.
I would like to add that we have these very quick commands as well. If you want to make a 3D shape very fast, we have these prismatic commands available, such as box, cylinder, and sphere. Here I would like to select the box and put it here. And basically, it creates that shape super easy.
Nice.
And that's good to know. That you can always, instead of sketching and then using the solid commands, you can straight up go use the prismatic commands that you have available here if you want it in these shapes. Now, I don't know if you've used SolidWorks before.
I have, yes, correct.
But in SolidWorks, you have a command called shell, correct?
Yes.
In Solid Edge, we don't have shell, but using the command finder, we can find the equal. And in Solid Edge, it tells me the equal is Timwall. And what Timwall does is that it basically removes material from my model, just like shell. So that's another thing to notice. That's how Timwall is used. It's right here. And if you want to know how to use it, it says click the face to open using the prompt bar. And when I click it, basically it does that. So it's important to notice that we've talked about the command finder, but this is another cool case of command finder in terms of 3D shapes and solids that you can use, right? You want to Timwall it. And that's another command. And finally, there are many other commands available, such as solid sweep, loft, all these things that these can get a bit complicated to a sense if you're a new user. But let me, for example, do sweep, right? You can even click on what it does. It's pretty simple. All you have to do is just click the path that you want to sweep and have the sketch, and it sweeps that sketch throughout your path and how you use it. I don't even have to really show you because you can just look at the animation and it tells you how to use it. So that's another command that we have available.
Easy enough.
There's also, you can do like basic sweeping with the steering wheels. I think Mohammed had a video on that. I think we will have to redo the audio for that video specific because the audio is not perfect, but if you watch it, you can see how you do like basic sweeps using a steering wheel.
Okay, yeah.
And finally, let me see the... Okay. I think that's enough in terms of like what we have in terms of 3D, right? We covered even a bit more than just like the basic 3D commands. We covered like benefits of synchronous when it comes to 3D as well, which is pretty important. We did cover extrude, revolve, round, and sweep. We also covered the holes and the Timwalls. I think these have, and you also have like different surfacing commands. These are all 3D too, you know, but these, you know, it can get a bit complicated for new users on how to use surfacing and stuff like that. So I don't know if it's beneficial for like the tutorial for these surfacing. You can mention them that we have all these available as well, if in future they want to use it, right?
Yeah, I think I will go ahead and do that in the blog.
So, I mean, I don't have much else to add on my part. I don't know. Mohammed, do you have anything to add?
I think we're good. We actually covered the second portion of the steering wheel as well. So I think we're good for today. Did you guys have any questions?
I don't in particular. Most of that stuff is pretty second nature to me by now. I know you jumped in late, Sam. Do you have any questions? I'll pass the video along to you after this too.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I was actually installing Solid Edge on my actually CAD